It's not a game, not even a war. Beyond rain, beyond storm, beyond Katrina. You ain't never seen a natural disaster with a...
No one can make an intelligent decision without being properly informed. This is why this world wants to control the media. This is why media hype can take you up, take you down. So you don't know anymore who's really good, because the media can make a wicked man look good and make a good man look evil. That is why. Until the dawn, I can't quit. I'm like Saddam, keeping my eye on Clinton, watching each movie make. Cause every slither.
Good evening. Assalamu alaikum. This is your brother Herman, Supreme Style Muhammad, and you are watching a special edition of the Final Call News Hour. Again, I am your host, your illustrious host, Brother Herman Muhammad, and the Final Call News Hour is the partner of the Final Call newspaper and the Final Call online edition, which we want you to go right now and get yours subscribed to the Final Call at finalcalldigital.com. Again, I am your illustrious host, Brother Herman Muhammad, and this evening we're going to be talking about a very special issue of the Final Call newspaper, the current edition, which reads, A Glimpse of Heaven, the Million Man March, 25th anniversary, which is October 16th, 2020, which is tomorrow. Extensive coverage begins on page 2 of this wonderful edition of the Final Call newspaper. Again, it's Herman Muhammad in the building, and I am so pleased. Man, we're gonna get right into it because I've been sitting up here fighting with some technical difficulties all night, just trying to bring y'all this show. I want y'all to know, and I hope y'all appreciate this, because this valuable information. But on the line, via the magic of Zoom, we have our beautiful brother who hails from the wonderful city of Fresno, California. He's the student representative of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan there, as well as the Western Regional Student Prison Reform Minister, Brother Hassan Muhammad. Welcome to the program, sir.
Assalamu alaikum, Brother Herman. Thank you for the opportunity to be with you this evening. All praises be to Allah.
Praise be to Allah. Y'all give me some feedback, man. Can everybody hear Brother Hassan? Well, I see my my audio looks good, but I want to make sure that we can hear Brother Hassan. Sister Shahada, Assalamu alaikum. Who else we got on there? We got a few people who coming in. They still coming into the room, Brother Hassan. Can't hear you. So, Brother Hassan, I'm gonna need you to just speak up, brother. I'm gonna see if I can turn you up.
Let me see what I can. Is there something I can do on my end? Turn my audio up.
I got you. I'm trying to keep a balance though between
Okay.
me and you. As a matter of fact.
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead, talk, Brother Hassan.
Mic check. Can you hear me?
Say it again.
A mic check. Can you hear me?
Praise be to Allah. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Let me look at my audio here and see. I can maybe turn mine up from this side. I don't know if I can.
Yes, sir. And I think I am. Let me see if I turn. Let me see if I could turn mine down.
Yeah, I think I'm just about all the way up.
Okay. That's cool. I could turn mine down a little bit and turn you up. Go ahead. Give me a 1, 2, 3. Check 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, check. 1, 2, 3, check.
Okay. I can hear
how's
you.
that sound? I think I turned it all the way up as high as I can get it.
Yes, sir. I think I can hear you. I can hear you. So I'm hoping, Sister Sabrina, salam alaikum.
Walaikum salam. I got myself a little closer to the. I was kind of back away
Okay.
from the computer, but I'm kind of. Yes, sir.
Praise be to Allah. So the current edition family, assalamu alaikum, Sister Sabrina. Good to see you. Sister Shahada's in the building. Come on in and let's talk about it. We're talking about, briefly, we're talking about the Million Man March. Well, I won't say briefly, but to start out, we're going to talk about the Million Man March in this current edition of the Final Call newspaper. Let me show it to you. A Glimpse of Heaven, the Million Man March. And of course, the anniversary is tomorrow, October 16th. It was October 16th, 1995, where
Yes, sir.
over 2 million black men descended
Absolutely.
on Washington, D.C. And for all of y'all out there in Facebook land and YouTube land, where were you at on October 16th? Were you one in a million? And I could say, without a doubt, that I was one in a million. Brother Hassan, were you one in a million, brother?
Absolutely, absolutely. I was one, absolutely in a million, for sure.
Praise be
to the living God.
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. So, Brother Hassan, just from off the top of your head, man, what are your recollections of that day and the efforts that you all put forth in the
Well, brother, first of all, let me open in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful. I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, who came to us in the person of Master Father Muhammad. We thank him for his coming and for raising in our midst the Messiah, the exalted Christ, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. And we thank the both of them for they back the bravest, boldest, the most righteous man on the planet today, the Jesus in our midst. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, I greet you and your audience with the greeting words of peace of Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
And before I make how proud I am of you in the work that you are doing there in Denver, Colorado, and also the work that you're doing via the social media to do all that you can to get the word of God out to our people. And I want you to know that, I love and appreciate and respect greatly the work that you're doing. And that's why whenever I get an opportunity to spend this time with you, we be moving schedules around, to be able to spend some time together. But brother, the first thought that comes to my mind on that very special day was the spirit that was on the mall that day. The love, brother, that was on the mall that day. Literally, you can feel it. I remember thinking, man, the spirit on this mall today is so thick, you can just about cut it with a knife, And we came, brother, from as far away as California, New York, Florida. Some of us came from different parts of the world. Some of us came on horseback, literally. So many of us came just about the whole East Coast was shut down. Schools were shut down, factories and stuff was shut down because the brothers decided that they were going to be on the mall that day with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And he worked, and we worked. When that word went out, we ought to take 1 million men to Washington, D.C., the minister crisscrossed this country, speaking to men-only meetings. He spoke to 35,000. In this, I don't remember all the stats, but in some cities, he spoke to as many as 50,000 men, explaining to us why we needed to go to Washington, D.C. for responsibility, reconciliation, and it was responsibility, reconciliation.
Yes, sir. Atonement, reconciliation, and responsibility. Yes, sir.
And atonement for not being the men that we were supposed to be to our women and our children, and that was shot all over the world. See, because there was an image going out around the world. They were putting us out as thugs and gangsters and killers and all these different movies that went around the world. a menace to society, boys in the hood that was painting the black man as a troublemaker, a menace, as they say, to society. But Minister Farrakhan said you can't have menace 2 unless you first have menace 1. And the white man was the first menace. So God really, made the call through his minister, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and we responded in great numbers, 2 million more. And there was a lot of people upset because 85% of us who showed up for the march that day, they said we're Christians. And these arrogant Christians, I'm gonna behave myself, watch my language, had the nerve to say that we gotta make sure that we do not allow Christians to respond to the Muslim leader in the way that they did. Well, who are they to say that?
Right.
So when they responded to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, they were saying that, look, we want change. We want to change in our lives. And that we recognize that we can get that change through the leadership coming through the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And the brothers responded. I remember, Brother Herman, how easy it was for us to get into Washington, D.C. And then how easy it was for us to get out.
Right.
I mean, we drove into, when I was on the turnpike, I'm from South Philly, so I went home. I got my little brother and his best friend, and we drove into Washington, D.C. And I remember saying to myself how we flowed into, there was no traffic jams.
Right.
Buses.
Right.
Cars.
Right.
There was no traffic jams. It was easy for us to find parking. And the brothers, that converged on Washington, D.C., the love that was shown.
Right.
Fathers had not seen their sons in years, met them at the Million Man March. And what came out of that great event? Thousands of children were adopted as a result of that march. A lot of us who had no spiritual homes found a church or a spiritual house to belong to. A lot of us who had not registered to vote had registered to vote. All kinds of new programs and stuff were launched in different cities as a result of the Million Man March. And people want to try to play it down, but this Sunday, while I'm on that, there's a special on the program on NOI.org. We're going to be celebrating this coming Sunday, the 25th anniversary of the Million Man March, the greatest gathering in the history of North America.
Wow.
Where 2 million men converged. There was no fighting that day.
Right.
No arguing that day. You couldn't do wrong that day on the wall. If I stepped on your shoes that day, you were telling me, excuse me.
Right.
After I stepped on your shoes. Oh, excuse me, brother. I'm saying, well, no, I stepped on your spirit that was on us that day. In the hereafter, that will be the spirit that will be on the people all the time. A spirit of love, a spirit of unity, a spirit of brotherhood. And we wasn't faking, man. It was sincere, right? And we collected charity, right? And Mr. Farrakhan hired 3 independent accounting firms to account for all the money that was accounted for that day.
Right.
And we left that mall as spick and span as it was when we found it.
Right.
Was not one piece of trash to be found anywhere on the mall when we left it. So we thank Allah for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and we thank him for the Million Man March, and it showed us our power. It showed us what we could do together in unity. And I'm just glad that I was lucky enough to be one in that million. All praise is due to Allah.
Is due to Allah. And it's interesting, Brother Hassan, because I own a barbershop, the best barbershop in the land, Supreme Style Barbershop here in Denver, Colorado. But I always get those, you know what I'm saying? And I always get those questions, man, about when we're going to do another one. You know what I'm saying? When we're going to do another Million Man March. And of course, if they hip to the history, and many of them even miss the fact that after that we had, of course, the Million Family March. The minister led the Millions More movement, and then in 2015, of course, Justice or Else. You know what I'm saying? And my retort, what I'm thinking in my mind is, Negro, you wouldn't show up anyway.
Right.
But the reality is, like you said, man, we can never duplicate that spirit that we had during the Million Man March. The first one, I mean, it was just incredible. And the numbers of people, I mean, people don't understand what 1 million people looks like, much less 2 million. They don't understand that for 10, 12 hours we stood shoulder to shoulder, and there's so many brothers on the mall that day. There's so many brothers on the mall that day that we literally could not move. I remember when brothers had to go to the restroom, us literally having to pass brothers over the crowds to get to the restroom.
That's right. and they did it with joy.
With joy. Oh man, it was such a beautiful thing. I remember one brother. Of course, we didn't have. It's just incredible, man. The level of organization that it took for us to pull this thing off. And I say us because as members of the FOI, young FOI, I was 24 years old, man, a little youngster, but helping to organize, bringing 1 million or 2 million black men to Washington, D.C. And we brought, I can't even remember how many brothers from Denver, man. We had bus loads and car loads and plane loads. Through every means of transportation, we made it there. You know what I'm saying? It was just transportation. It was just incredible. And we did it without what we're using right now, because we didn't have Facebook. We didn't have YouTube. We didn't have Twitter or any of that social, the agency of social media. It was straight up groundwork. Brothers going and talking to other brothers and letting them know that this was what was going on in Washington, D.C. on that day. A day where we didn't go to show out and take over and paint the White House black, which we could have done. But a day where the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan called us there for atonement, reconciliation, and responsibility.
Yes, sir.
Man,
yes, sir.
It's a beautiful thing.
It is a beautiful thing because, we needed to be reconciled. We needed to atone, for our shortcomings. And the minister gave us the method for us to do that. Not only atone to God, but also he gave us a method by which we could atone one to the other. And those 8 steps of atonement, I don't have them right off the top of my head, but it starts with us pointing out the wrong and acknowledging the wrong. Mm-hmm. There are steps for, things that we can do to demonstrate that we want to do something to make up for the wrong that we did. And there's a step that deals with forgiveness. Mm-hmm. Then there's a step that deals with reconciliation and restoration. And of course, in the end of the process, it puts us in a position to make perfect union with God. And of course, we can't make perfect union with each other, unless.
And let me read them since you brought them up, brother Hassan. The 8 steps of atonement, and they could be found on page 22 of this edition of the Final Call newspaper, which you definitely need to get. If you see an FOI in your city, or if you're in the Denver area, of course, come to Supreme Star Barbershop, 7520 East Colfax Avenue, and we'll make sure that we get you a copy. But the 8 steps are as follows. Number 1, point out the wrong. Number 2, acknowledge the wrong. Number 3, confess the fault. Number 4, repent. Number 5, atone. Number 6, forgive. Number 7, reconcile and restore. And number 8, perfect union with God. Praise be to Allah.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Okay. So We wanted to atone. We wanted to be reconciled, back to our Creator. We have been raped and robbed of our names, language, culture, God, and religion. And Minister Farrakhan's role as the Jesus in our midst, as a student, as I see and understand it, is to give us the pathway that we can be reconciled back to our Creator. And then, of course, we want to accept the responsibility for being the men that God wants us to be. So, God raised a messenger for us, and that messenger, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, prepared this great one that's before us, today, to give us the proper path to atone, to be reconciled, and to accept the responsibility to be the people that ultimately God wants us to be. We have to know and understand, accept the fact that we are the original people.
Right.
We are the people of God. And you're not going to do anything of value with or for Black people and not consult the one that created us.
Right.
We come up with programs and policies, procedures. But if I'm the original man and you're the original man and we're the original people, then wouldn't it make sense that we would consult our Creator?
Right.
To find out what's best for that which He has created?
Right.
You see? So we see America falling. We see America unraveling. And we see our people still trying to find a way to make a way in that which is right before our eyes. We need a solution to our problem that's rooted in God Himself. So Minister Farrakhan calling us, as I see it and understand it, and I want to hear what you have to say, was to call us back to our God.
Indeed.
It was like, loose him, Satan, let him go. I mean, in the New Testament, there's a picture of Lazarus there in a tomb.
Right.
Napkin on his eyes.
Right.
He was bound up, and he called for him. Loose him, Satan. And when Minister Farrakhan called us, right? Not on a Saturday for a picnic, not on a Sunday, and people criticized him and said, well,
he don't know what he doing.
You don't know nothing about no marching.
Right.
We march on a Saturday. Mr. Farrakhan said, no, we don't want to listen on Saturday march. The people that are serious about trying to do something, they're going to take a day off from work, which I did.
Right.
Right?
Come on.
And you want to sacrifice. I paid my own way. I'm living in Fresno, although I'm from Philadelphia. I flew to Philadelphia, got in the car with my younger brother and his friend, and we drove. We made the sacrifice, and we offered ourselves that day as a sacrifice before our Lord to say, we want to change.
Right.
We don't want to keep doing what we're doing.
Right.
And no one else in the country could have made that call.
That's right.
Nobody else in the country. And that's why the Quran says Allah knows best where to place His message.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And He placed it right where He needed to place it, and He toured the country. And the men heard the call of God coming through the man of God, and they responded. All praise is due to Allah.
All praise
yes,
due
sir.
to Allah. All praise is due to Allah. Beautiful, brother. And, if you guys are just now tuning in, give us some likes and some shares and all that good stuff. If you're watching it via YouTube, which it will go up on YouTube, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. We're coming out of this edition of the Final Call newspaper, the current edition. A Glimpse of Heaven, the Million Man March, 25th anniversary, which is tomorrow, October 16, 2020. And extended coverage begins on page 2. You can pick up this beautiful newspaper if you come to Supreme Style Barbershop, 7520 East Colfax. If you're unable to reach any sort of mighty FY in your city you live on the moon or something of that nature, then you could always get it at finalcalldigital.com. And I encourage you, I encourage you to go to finalcalldigital.com and get that paper. It comes to your phone, your tablet, whatever device that you have. And man, it's wonderful, man. You could actually listen to the Final Call on your phone as you're driving into work. I do it all the time if I'm unable to get to a certain article that I want to read. So I want to make sure you guys get that. But yeah, I do want to echo what my brother Hassan has been saying about that day, man, and the messenger who brought it about, who is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. There is no doubt in my mind as to what true leadership is. And you know, we're running up on this day, election day, that many of our people are looking forward to, so they could choose which devil they want to rule them, or they could choose whichever Caucasian they want to be their president, however we want to say it. But I'm not so much interested in that particular day, even though I will vote. My leader is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and I make no apologies for that. He led the historic Million Man March on Washington. Sir. He's the only, Brother Hassan, I'm sure you'll agree, the only leader that we have. We don't have no leadership outside of Farrakhan. Period, point blank. Unless they are students of Minister Farrakhan. That's the only other leadership that we have besides him, are those who are under the sound of his voice. And that day, you know, the message was so powerful, man. He could have asked us to do anything in truth. But what he asked of us was that we atone with one another, that we reconcile our differences, that we become responsible human beings. And, you know, I'm asking everyone, you know, within the sound of my voice, to get on and to make sure that you, if you're watching it via YouTube, that you like and share and subscribe, because the enemy has deleted the Nation of Islam's YouTube channels. They deleted the Final Call newspapers channel on YouTube. They've banned the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan from Facebook, the platform that we're on right now. They've banned him from Instagram. They banned him from Twitter. You know what I'm saying? And for what? And that's the question. For telling the truth. And they've lumped him in with all sorts of other devils and wicked people who they've also removed from the platform. But I was saying on my last broadcast, they've accused us, and I say the Nation of Islam, us, we're all members, of being a hate group when we've never even been accused of a hate crime. So who determines who is a hate group? By what standard do they measure? Is it because that we're saying something that speaks against the wickedness that you perpetrated against black people? It has to be.
Yeah. Well, let's speak to the leadership issue first.
Yes, sir.
We say that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is the only real leader that black people have. One is that he's uncompromising when it comes to the truth. The Minister Farrakhan's knees will not bend or bow when it comes to the leadership of his people. You know, the Nation of Islam, under the leadership of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, is the only people that have a program. A real program.
Beautiful,
to move our people forward. Beautiful. Right? A program that includes, we have 9 ministries.
Yes, sir.
Agriculture, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Arts and Culture, Ministry of Science and Technology, Ministry of Defense, okay? These Ministry of Trade and Commerce. right? These different departments and stuff that we put together to give Black people a platform by which all of our talents and gifts can be collaborated and brought together so we can put together a programmatic thrust to move our people forward.
Yes, sir.
Okay? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that separation from the enemy is the best and only solution between the problems of Black and white.
Say that.
Now, if it's the best and only solution or answer to the problem, then that tells us that as far as we're concerned, all other options are off the table.
Yes, sir.
You got to be put into a position where you are free, okay?
Right.
To express without hindrance your God-given talents and abilities. And we don't recognize Minister Farrakhan as the real true leader because everybody else wants to integrate into that which is unraveling.
Right.
See, we see
Go ahead,
we
brother.
see America as the only solution.
Come on.
If we can't get along with these people, then we're not going to make it. But history, I don't know nowhere in history, and I'm not a history buff. I don't claim to be a history buff, but I don't see nowhere in history where a slave was integrated into the society where they were made slaves.
Wow.
And after that, were made free, equal, and justified to those that made them slaves.
Wow. Right.
I don't see that happening. So whenever we see a people going into bondage in the scripture, we always see God intervening in the affairs of those people to give them a prophet and or a messenger, and those people are called out and then put into a land or a territory, of their own.
That's right.
So Jesus even taught, be ye separate.
Yes, sir.
Paul said to love this world is to hate God. There is no coexistence with the righteous and the unrighteous.
Man.
There is no coexistence. So now,
Man.
We tried to crawl in, as Mr. Farrakhan said, we tried to sit in.
Right.
We tried to walk in.
Stand in.
Coming through the back door. We tried coming in through the roof.
Right.
Every possible way that we tried to get into America, we have not been able to get in. It kind of reminds me of Jonah in the belly of the whale.
Okay. So now this is what we're going to do, Brother Hassan. First, let me say to my
Yes, sir.
sister Vanessa, peace queen. It's good to see you, Brother Troy X. Salam alaikum. Man, they coming in the room, Brother Hassan. All praises due to Allah. And Sister Sabrina, she told us where she was at during the Million Man March. She was at home with her then young children, supporting her mighty FOI, Brother Wayne. All praise is due to Allah. The Million Man March, it was a beautiful day, man. But we're going to switch gears because we're talking about leadership. And something came across my radar, and I just had to talk to you about it, Brother Hassan. And I wanted to bring to bring the family in on Facebook. Sister Jamila, wa alaikum salam. The family in on Facebook in on this as well, because we're talking about leadership, and we got the orange man who's ready to be reelected, Mr. Trump, and we've got Joe Biden vying for the office, trying to get in. And on November 3rd, they're saying this is the most important election of our time, right? And which they always say every election. But here's the thing, and I put on the post, brother, to vote or not to vote.
Okay.
To vote or not to vote, that is the question. We Shakespearean up here, and I put it up because our brother Ice Cube, I'm gonna give him a shot of Ice Cube. Ice Cube, it's reported that he is working with the Trump administration because he has this contract with Black America that the Trump administration is calling the Platinum Plan. And it came across Twitter that he was working with the Trump administration, and the Negro went crazy. And what I mean by the Negro went crazy, I mean the average Negro saw that Trump and Ice Cube in the same headline, just went straight bonkers. And what Brother Cube did was he came with the program. You know, we're talking about the program of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, but he came with a program for Black America, and he presented it to the Democrats, and he presented it to the Republicans. And the Democrats told him, Brother Hassan, and I sent you the article, and it appears in Vulture magazine for all of you all who would like to read it yourselves, because you should. The Democrats told him, Joe, this is the Joe Biden campaign. We'll talk to you about that after the election. But the Republicans, excuse me, told him, okay, Mr. Trump said he put $500 million on the table, you know what I'm saying, for economic development. Did it say billion?
I think I'm looking at it right here. I think it said billion.
Oh, that's even better.
Make your point.
$500 billion on the table for economic development. He put 3 million jobs on the table and a host of other different things. And so Q said, cool, let's talk about it. And that's where and then Trump's people subsequently tweeted it out that they were working on this Platinum Plan, and the Negro went upset. My question for you, Brother Hassan, is, should we be mad at Ice Cube? Did he do something wrong?
Well, based on Ice Cube's knowledge, I think he doesn't see separation ultimately as the answer between the two people, black and white. He doesn't see it that way. So in that sense, I wouldn't say that he was wrong. He's tired and he's fed up, and he used his platform based on the knowledge that he's been given to try to see what he can do to help his people. He said he didn't trust, in the article, he said he really didn't trust either side.
Right.
And he wasn't, it was $500 billion that was put on the table, but he wasn't even sure of what was going to happen,
right,
with that $500 billion. So he's making an attempt based on his knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, based on his network and the tools that he has at his disposal to try to make things better for black people. I can't fault him. I can't fault that brother, for that.
Right.
But as followers of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad under the leadership of Minister Farrakhan, our position is that black people don't have any future in America.
Right.
Because America, as Minister Farrakhan said, was a nation that was doomed from her very inception.
Yes, sir.
She's founded on lying, stealing, the murder and enslavement of Africans. That is what your house is built on. How long can a house like that stand? Minister Farrakhan says we live in a universe of truth.
Right.
How long can a lie exist in a universe that's existing and built on truth?
Right.
So that America was doomed from her very inception, and now we see it literally unraveling. If you watch that debate between Donald Trump and Joe Biden, it was a fiasco.
Right.
And that went all over the world.
Right.
And everybody in the world is watching the debates, these presidential debates, these vice presidential debates. And what Russia saw, in my opinion, And what China saw, in my opinion, was another sign of a decline of the American empire.
Right.
Just in the way that they were conducting themselves.
Right.
You know, this whole thing.
Right.
You know, it's coming apart. You
Yes,
know?
sir. Well, let me say this, brother James, my man JJ, good to see you, brother. Peace, Black. He said, you can't be mad at Ice Cube. The matter of the fact is Trump has no character, and you know he will not do anything no matter what he says. Which, you know, you can't believe the devil. The devil only tells you to deceive you. So I mean that goes without saying. But I'm glad brother said it. But here's my thing with regards to what Cube was trying to do with regards to our people. Okay, Cube is admittedly, I'm always gonna side with my brother Ice Cube because he's been riding with the nation since the 90s. You know what I'm saying? And so anybody who's rolled with the Minister Louis Farrakhan and stood up on behalf of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan for that long deserves the utmost honor and respect. With regards to this political system, and he makes it clear in this article, you're right, Brother Hassan, that he don't believe in either side, right? But he was making the point that if he's presenting a contract for Black America, you got two candidates. You know, there's many candidates. As a matter of fact, there's a Muslim sister who's running. But you got two candidates who have a viable chance of winning this, Democrat or Republican. And whoever's in there, if you're gonna give them your support, if you want to play this political game, you should get something out of it, right?
Right.
And so he came with the plan, and he presented the plan equally to both sides. But the Dems did exactly what they normally do, right? They did exactly what they normally do, and they took for granted that they're gonna get the Black vote anyway. And Trump,
if you don't vote for me, you ain't Black.
Exactly. There you go, Brother Hassan. And Trump, on the other hand, he's desperate because he's so low in the polls right now. Biden's whooping that behind. So he like, shoot, I look at it. You know what I mean? 500 billion, 3 million jobs. And like brother said, he probably not gonna do it anyway, but he at least entertained it. You see what I'm saying? So as Black people, I think what Cube is trying to get us to recognize that he hasn't articulated very well is that you have to be more politically mature if you're going to participate in this game. The way that we've been playing this game politically, it's a lose-lose all the time. We don't come up with nothing. We had 8 years of Obama, yet what did we get out of it? I mean, we got to be realistic. You know what I'm saying? And we can ask our people this on the chat. Like, what do we get out of having Brother Obama there? We can argue that we got the Affordable Care Act. Okay, that's cool. The ACA.
But I mean, it didn't benefit. I mean, the Affordable Care Act. I mean, my wife being self-employed, as a result of the Affordable Care Act, she was given an insurance plan that one, she couldn't afford to pay for.
Right.
And if she could afford to pay for it, the deductible was so high she couldn't even go to the doctor. You know, so I don't know what was so affordable.
And this is my point. This is my point.
I don't know what's so affordable about that particular Care Act. I mean, I don't get it,
bro.
But the problem.
Go ahead.
But the problem. I mean, that's just been my experience.
Right.
You're a small. You know, we're taught in the nation.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing. My situation is exactly the same as your wife's. The Affordable Care Act wasn't affordable to me, so I didn't benefit. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so if we're politically mature or politically sophisticated, we are supposed to vote our interests. Our people have the habit, or we've gotten into the it's a habit of voting for the lesser of two evils. Where in the Nation of Islam, hell, we don't vote for no evil.
Right. That's absolutely right. And see, and the thing is that, you know, we have not played the game correctly.
Right.
The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan taught us, he wrote an article, politics without economics is simple without substance.
Right.
Okay. It's not politics first. It's economics first.
Right.
See? Black people in this country, I don't know what the last number is, but I know in Black Fresno, for example, the purchasing power here is $750 million a year.
Right.
And we have nothing to show for it. We don't own a grocery store. We eat every day. And we don't own a grocery store. Okay? You don't have not one black bank. We don't have not one independent educational institution. See? What are we doing with all our money? And as Brother Minister Nori said from Indianapolis, we spend 95% of our money with people who we blame for 98% of our problems.
Right.
So we've got the whole thing turned upside down. Now, politics in America is a play-to-pay system. We got to understand that.
Right.
So if I'm running for office, right, and I have to go to these big, I don't know, it costs billions of dollars to run for the presidency of the United States.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Billions. So if I go to my brother Herman and I say, Brother Herman, I'm running for president. Can you make a $5 million donation? Can you make a $15 million donation? Okay?
Right.
Brother Herman says, well, Brother Eisen, right?
Right.
What am I going to get for my $5 million?
Right.
For my $10 million? Then I gotta go give all these dinners. I gotta host all these dinners, you know, $500 a plate. You know, and if you want to take a picture with me, that's going to be another $20,000.
Right.
Fundraising.
Right.
So all of these people that are dumping money into these coffers for their donations, they're not just doing it out of the goodness of their heart.
Right.
They're doing it because they want something. Now, I used to like to watch that show called The West Wing. Right? And it was somebody that wanted to do some business in Bahrain, and one of the Muslim countries, and he wanted the president, you know, to make a move. And I don't know if it was Madam Secretary. That's what it was. Madam Secretary.
Okay. I never watched that one.
And okay, right, and it kind of evolved around the woman who was the Secretary of State.
Right.
So she's in the White House telling the president, look, we can make this move, we can make that move, and this is what we need to do. And so somebody else who had $5 million in his hand to give the president for his re-election campaign was saying, look here, man, you need to make that move because that's going to open the door for me to be able to do business in this Muslim country.
Right.
Well, the president didn't do it. The president sided with the Secretary of State. He didn't do it. That man calls his chief of staff on the line and tells him to tell the president, I'm giving my $5 million to the opposition. You see? That's the way the game is played in America. It is a play-to-pay system.
Right.
See? And like Dr. Claude Anderson said, who wrote the book Blackonomics. Either you better put yourself in a position to buy you some politicians, or at least be in a position to be able to rent a few.
That's right. That's right.
So now we see Asians now starting to come into the political arena, but I mean they have not generally been in the political arena, but you see them building Chinatown, you see them galvanizing their economics. And so now, you know, you start to slowly but surely see them come into the political arena, but that is after they've gotten their economics together.
Right.
So
Right.
we don't, we have 1.5, 1.3, 1.5 trillion dollars in purchasing power, but yet we control less than 1% of the wealth
Right.
in the nation. So how can you really compete politically when you have not competed economically in business? And Minister Farrakhan, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, said that in America, business is warfare.
Right. Absolutely.
See, so it doesn't.
Absolutely.
So it's always the case of voting for the lesser of the two evils. It's always the case of voting for a benevolent white man that's going to come to our rescue. He's not going to come to our rescue. We have to organize and do something for yourself.
Right. Okay. Yes, sir. I want to read this because I want the people to understand what Ice Cube was bargaining for with the Trump administration. Just so we know that my brother was trying to get something tangible in exchange for our vote. And you're absolutely right, Brother Hassan. This is a pay-to-play type deal. But that's what we need to understand as a people politically, is that no one should get our votes for free. They have to earn our votes, right? Just like they earn the Jewish vote, just like they own the gay vote. They earn every vote they get by making promises to that constituency. So let me just read what Brother Ice Cube was trying to get. It says, Trump, or shout out, this is what Katrina Pearson, a senior advisor for the Trump administration, did with regards to shouting out Ice Cube. She said, shout out to @Ice Cube for his willingness to step up and work with @Real Donald Trump administration to help develop the Platinum Plan, before including a link to the plan, which claims that Trump administration, and listen to this, will increase access to capital by almost 500 billion, like you said, brother, it was a B, billion in black communities, create 3 million new jobs, provide more affordable health care, improve access to better education and job opportunities, designate Juneteenth as a national holiday, and other promises that have not happened in the past 4 years, but will purportedly happen if Trump gets another term in office. Now, it sounds too good to be true, which it probably is.
Right.
However, I just wanted to point out that Brother Ice Cube was going for some tangibles as opposed to some, you know what I'm saying, just hopes and prayers that Joe Biden is a lesser evil than Donald Trump. Or because, what's my sister Kamala Harris is a so-called black woman, that she's a lesser evil than Mike Pence, right? But
Right.
here's the thing that I wanted to add to that. Because if we're going to go with of our people on this line probably, but I'm going to say it anyway. If we're going to go for the lesser of two evils, don't we have to consider the fact that Joe Biden was an architect of that 1994 bill that put
Crime bill.
that put all them brothers in prison?
That put all them brothers in jail.
Don't we have to consider the fact that Kamala Harris is a prosecutor from California who put a whole lot of brothers in jail?
Wow.
Does Donald Trump have that record?
No, he does not. Not to my knowledge.
I mean,
He
or
don't- he
does
don't
Mike
have
Pence?
no-
I mean, we could say that they racist and they dog whistle white supremacists and all that good stuff. But at the end of the day, if we're gonna use the lesser of two evils argument,
Who has been more evil?
right?
Black people. Right. If we want to use that argument, and let me say, and let me
I'm
say
hearing some crickets
that,
on this line, brother Hassan. But
Say what now?
I said I'm hearing some crickets on this line, this
Hear
Facebook
some
line.
crickets? Yeah, because we have to see. Because we have to. We have to look at. We have to look at all of that. Our dear brother Abdul Malik Saeed, the West Coast regional representative who we serve under out here on the West Coast, said that Kamala Harris has not done anything to impress him.
Right.
Anything at all. So I mean, we have to really consider the fact that any promises that are made to black people, because we are disunited, there's no teeth there to make them, for us to make them. In other words, remember that story that Minister Farrakhan told us about A. Philip Randolph?
Right.
Talking to one of the presidents? He said, now everything that you said is right.
No,
he said,
make
now,
me do it.
you're going to have to make me do it.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
He said, you're going to have to make me do it. And which means now you're going to have to put the program, you're going to have to galvanize your people, right? Because see, everybody, even though you're right, don't want to see those things come to you.
Right.
But if you're not united and structured in such a way, then you don't put me in a position to make to make these things, to make these promises come true. Anybody can tell us anything.
Right.
They came here talking about, Bloomberg said that he's going to launch this thing, the Black Wall Street Initiative.
Right.
We're going to give us all this money. I said, that's a game.
Yes, sir.
That's a joke. So now you're going to get all these white banks to loan us all this money at interest, right? You're not going to be able to close the wealth gap. What you need to do is give us the money and then get out of the way.
Right.
But that's just another way for them to make money on our demise.
Right.
In other words,
right?
Because if you want to loan me the money, you're not going to loan me the money interest free. I'm going to have to pay for the money that you're loaning me, even though I'm building. If I am building, that's not going to help close the gap.
Right.
And the nature of the game, the nature of capitalism says the idea is to get all you can and invest as less as you can at the same time.
Right.
So if I can fire 10 people and keep 3 and get the same output, capitalism says that's what you do.
Right.
Capitalism says it's profit, above people. So he can, Donald Trump can say, yeah, man, we can do that.
Right.
$5 billion on the table, but he know we disunited.
Right.
He know we don't trust each other.
Okay.
He know we have no real love or respect for one another. He knows that our community is rampant with envy and jealousy.
Right.
Right. So now when the checks begin to get cut, now we got to have another problem about who's going to get what piece of the check.
Right. So my brother,
we got all that kind of we got all that kind of stuff to
deal with, no doubt. So my brother James,
the enemy knows that.
Absolutely. Hey, my brother James, I want to give him equal time. He makes a good point. He says if Donald Trump had a political career, it would not only be a worse situation, but a horrifying situation. Let's not forget about what he has done in the private sector with the Central Park 5. He's trying to install somebody on the Supreme Court who potentially doesn't believe Civil Rights Act is constitutional. Okay, he makes a valid point. Okay, so it speaks to my point about the lesser of two evils. You know what I'm saying? You got Joe Biden on one side, you got Donald Trump on the other. That's why I put on the post to vote or not to vote, because I'm certainly not telling anybody that they should not vote, especially local issues. All of that stuff that affects us every single day. That's real. We definitely need to vote on those particular issues. As far as presidential politics, I can't make that same argument. The electoral system that they use to choose the president makes it so that for many of us, whether we like it or not, our vote does not count. And that's just real. if you live in Fresno, brother Hassan, so Biden's gonna win California. Period. Point blank. And so
I think that's 45 electoral votes.
And there's not a damn thing that you could do about it. If you was a Trump supporter, it don't matter. Them electoral votes are going to Biden. Same thing with Colorado. I think Colorado has 8 electoral votes. They're going to Biden. But if we lived in Houston and we're Dems who are riding for Biden and we vote and we got our signs in our yards and whatnot, it don't make a difference. All them Texas electoral votes are going to Trump. Period.
Right.
So at the end of the day, your vote, like it or not, Facebook family, like it or not, YouTube, in presidential politics does not count. So, and if we have 2 wicked people on the ballot who are gonna, one of the 2 is gonna win, man, I'd rather do what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said to do and just vote my conscience. I don't believe either one of these crackers. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And so
Yes, sir.
I'm going to vote my conscience. There's a sister on the ballot, a Muslim sister, Brother Hassan. She called me. She's from the Bay Area. Look at your ballot. Her name is Princess Khadijah Mariam Jacobs. She's running for president. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he said, yes, Sister Princess Khadijah Mariam Jacobs. And,
Yes, sir.
and he said what we need is a Muslim politician. Now she don't stand a chance in France of winning. However, her platform is about separation. Her platform is about reparations. Her platform is about everything that I believe in. So why wouldn't I cast my vote for a candidate like that? Especially,
That would be wise.
you know what I'm saying? Especially,
I don't see. I have The Fall of America here.
mm-hmm.
Written by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And I want to. Okay, the black vote. This is
Go
what
ahead.
it says in The
Go
Fall
ahead.
of America, in the section titled "The National Election."
Yes, sir.
The black vote could be cast or not cast. The white citizens of the government are going to win and continue to rule anyway. There's so much talk of this man and that man, right?
Right.
Shall vote of the people put in the White House for the next 4 years. How much good have the 2 parties, Republican or Democrat, done for us in the last century in the way of freedom, justice, and equality? Regardless of what party wins, the die is always set against the black people of America. Injustice, crooked politics, and the breeding of corruption under crooked politics have been practiced ever since Adam and the present day rulers. Adam, he says here, was the first crook. There has not been justice for the black man in this race of people, and this is why this race suffers the effect of chaos today. So now, that's what we see happening. The whole thing has become chaotic.
Right.
Here's a man that says that if I don't win the election, if I don't win, there's not going to be a transfer of power.
Right.
I'm not going to. I'm not going out like that. You know. He says that Donald Trump is telling us that the whole thing is crooked.
Right.
For him to come out and say, no, y'all, you got mad because I won the first time, and now you're going to try to steal the election from me the second time.
Right.
So I'm telling you right now, if I lose, it ain't going to be no easy transfer of power.
Right.
I'm not going out without a fight.
Right. That's what he said.
And the whole world is looking at that.
Right.
Now, why would we as black people who say that we're intelligent, want to integrate into something like this.
Right. And so,
Casting out Satan.
Brother Jamie says, Assalamu alaikum, Brother Jamie. He says, let me read this. He says, don't be surprised if Trump, hold on, let me go back. Where is he at? Don't be surprised if Trump is reelected because he is Allah's instrument to bring about change for black people in this country and around the world. He wears his racism on his sleeve, and that's what we need as black America, to ignite our flames to institute real change. And, you know, I agree with Brother Jamie. All praises due to Allah. We need to, Brother Hassan, we running up on time by Allah's grace. We really are. We good. We need to, in my opinion, change focus. And instead of focusing on white people's politics, like you pointed out, and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad points out in this illustrious book, The Fall of America, and really begin to concert our efforts on doing for self. Like Brother Jamie says, real change. Doing for self. We don't have to allow white people to rule us anymore. Their day is over. Their time is up.
Right. They rule us now because we're letting them.
Exactly.
By the choices that we're making. We're giving them power over us that they really don't have.
Man.
We're giving them power. I was trying to explain to some brothers in the barbershop. Mm-hmm. Brother, you don't even realize that the white man's time to rule you is over.
It's over.
I was just trying to explain to them that nations rise and nations fall. Just like people are born and people die. They used to say in England that the sun will never set on the British Empire.
Right.
Meaning that the British Empire is going to rule forever.
Right.
And we see now that the British Empire is not ruling. Now it's the American Empire. And there was a man named Chris Hedges who wrote a book called America, The Farewell Tour, where he is chronicalizing the fall of America.
It's over.
Chris Hedges is saying it's over.
Yeah.
Noam Chomsky said that America, if you fly into some of its cities and you look at them, he says some of the cities in America, they look like third world countries.
Right.
It's over.
It's over.
You know, there's white scholars out there now that are saying, you know.
Patrick Buchanan, he's one of them.
Right, The Death of the West.
Yeah.
In the book that he wrote called The Death of the West, it talks about the zero birth weight of Caucasian people, right, all over the world. What are we trying to integrate? What are we trying to integrate into?
Right.
You know, know for sure that thy people shall be strangers in a land that is not theirs, and they shall serve them and afflict them for 400 years. And after that time, personal pronoun will come, right? And I'm going to judge that nation that they have served, and I'm going to bring them out with great substance, and they will go to their Father in peace.
Man.
Revelation says, come out of her, my people, that you be not partakers of her sin.
Man. Go ahead,
and her plagues. For all of you that are listening to me, let me tell you, like Brother Herman said, the white man's time to rule you is over. And only thing you have to do is to decide that you're going to come with God and do for self.
Oh, man.
And you will be the winner. The great deception is that, you know, you have a future in America. And see, and God is punishing America because you won't let her go. Right. I believe it's in this book, in The Fall of America. You see here?
Go ahead.
And Brother Herman's book was blue. Mine is red. You see this fire here?
Right.
That represents the fire that God is going to put on America. He's going to, brothers and sisters, as sure as I'm talking to you, he's going to destroy her. He's destroying her
As we
educational
speak.
system. In this book,
As we speak.
there's a chapter called The Destruction of the American Educational System, where he outlines why God is destroying the American educational system, because it was never set up to truly educate anybody.
Right.
He says in this book that since you and I are so enamored with America's wealth, God was going to destroy her wealth.
Mm-hmm.
See? Because you and I are so, enamored with it. So, I mean, you have no future in America. If you go to the Muslim program, it says here, Ice Cube was talking about 3 million jobs. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad here says in the program, if I can find it here real quickly, on what the Muslims believe, towards the end, it says that, in words, I'm trying to find it, that America will not be able to provide enough jobs to take care of our own people, not less take care of us.
Right.
You see,
right.
look at this. We believe that the offer of integration is hypocritical and is made by those who are trying to deceive black peoples into the believing that their 400-year-old enemies of freedom, justice, and equality are all of a sudden their friends. Furthermore, we believe that such deception is intended to prevent black people from realizing that the time in history has arrived for the separation from the whites of this nation. If white people are truthful in their professed friendship toward the so-called Negro, they can prove it by dividing up America with their slaves. We do not believe that America will ever be able to furnish enough jobs for her own millions of unemployed, in addition to the jobs for at the time of this writing was 20 million. Now we're at 45 to 50 million so-called Negroes in America. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad says she will not be able to take care of you because she's incapable of taking care of herself. And she's deceiving you into believing that you have a future in this country.
Say that.
Study the fall of Rome. Study the fall of Egypt. Study the fall of Sodom and Gomorrah. Study the fall of Babylon. All of the things that plagued those nations that caused them to fall, all of those things are going on in America as we speak, in real time, at the same time.
Right.
She has no future. It's not hate. It's not personal. I got a PDF I'm going to send you, Brother Herman, written by an English soldier called The Fate of the Empires.
Praise be to Allah. And listen, I want to go ahead.
And it takes us through the stages of empire.
Yes, sir.
And the last stage, he says in his article, in this essay, is decadence. The last stage before the fall is decadence.
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to find that and send that to you.
That to me.
And then maybe we can get back on. We could have a talk about that. But if we're really studying history, we can see that America's done.
Right.
And the only reason why God has not completely wiped her out, in my humble estimation, is that his people, you and I, that he wants to save, are
still here. And let me just, I just want to read something, man. Then we're gonna wrap this thing up because we overtime. But time flies when you having fun, and I had so much fun with you, brother.
Oh no, praise to Allah.
To Allah. But I wanted to read because like I said, I posted to vote or not to vote, and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad writes, and I'm gonna read this, and then we out of here. We must remember that our vote, and this is on page 36, just where you read from, Brother Hassan. We must remember that our vote is strong and powerful only when and where the white man can use it to get in the office over his white opponent. After the election and the victory, there are very few favors that come from his office to the black voters who helped and aided him in getting in the office. Why? because he does not owe the black voter anything as long as he has to feed, clothe, and shelter him. And then he ends it by saying, I still say, as I have said for many years, vote for Allah God to be your ruler and come follow me. All praise is due to Allah.
All praise is due to Allah.
So with that, brother, man, I want to thank you, brother Hassan, man. This has been a blast, man. This has been a blast. And we're gonna come back, and hopefully, man, people will understand what we're saying with regards to voting your conscience and voting for issues that affect you. And I personally, man, I wish we would just hold our vote and make the politician make us a promise before we gave it to him. You know what I'm saying? But unfortunately,
that's what they do. Israel don't back you unless you go to them and say
exactly
what you want to do specifically. And then when they get you and when you get in office, you better do what you say you're going to do.
Absolutely, it's going to be some problems.
They'll call you to the carpet.
Yes, sir.
They'll call you to the carpet. So with that, brother, I just again want to say thank you for the opportunity to share.
Thank you, beloved.
I hope that our words were clear and meaningful and relevant, to your listening audience. It's always educational for me as well, because I learn something every time I come on this show, brother. Even though I'm kind of co-host, I'm still absorbing knowledge as we go.
You're doing your thing, man. Love you, brother, and we'll talk to you later, man. We'll build definitely this week going into next, because we're gonna keep it going. Praise Allah.
May Allah bless you, brother. I appreciate you.
Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you. Wa alaikum salam, sir.
Beautiful brother Hassan Muhammad from Fresno, California. All praise is due to Allah. And I just want to remind you all, we're gonna wrap this thing up, but if you haven't done it, like, share, subscribe, so that we can keep this positive content going. Make sure that you subscribe to the Final Call Digital Edition, which is at finalcalldigital.com. What else did I want to tell you guys? Visit our website, noidenver.org, to find out what it is that we have going on in the city of Denver. Also, make sure you go to noi.org and watch the webcast every Sunday. noi.org. We got noidenver.org here, but noi.org is the webcast where you can view the national broadcast of the Nation of Islam. It's usually carried by our beautiful brother, National Assistant to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Go on, check it out, man. It's been a blast, man. Love y'all. Remember, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. Peace. We out. I'm gonna give you I'm just gonna say peace. I'm gonna give you my social media, and we'll see you all next time.